You bought a business. Congratulations. Now, watch this. The first 90 days post-acquisition are super critical in you setting the tone. What are you going to do with this business you just bought? We're going to execute some of the plans that we put together during the business acquisition phase. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a roadmap of what happens and what you can do every week for the first 90 days to make sure that your business acquisition does the best that it can be and beyond. Let's get to it. Welcome to my channel. I am your host, Leo Landaverde, business broker and commercial lender, helping you buy and scale a profitable business. If you are a small business owner looking to increase your wealth, or a W-2 employee sick and tired of the rat race wanting to get out, you come to the right place. If you want to buy a business, please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell. You'll be notified every Thursday when new content comes out. Let's do it. So the way I want to set this up for you is we're going to go in weeks. Weeks 1, weeks 2 to 4, weeks 5 to 6, weeks 7 to 8, weeks 9 to 10, 11 and 12 and beyond. So all of the notes you can download. I'm going to have this checklist available to you, but I think it's going to be a great exercise. Now that you bought a business, what do you do? So here's the roadmap. Number 1, in week 1, we're going to have 4 bullet points. 1.1 is going to be meet the team. You want to conduct one-on-one meetings with the key employees. You want to understand what's going on. You want to listen to their perspectives and understand the company culture. Keep in mind that as of until now, you haven't worked with them. You've been watching them from afar. You probably talked to a couple of them during due diligence, but this is the first time you actually get to work with them. They are now on your payroll. Now they're now sitting in your company. So these are your assets. They're going to help you grow the business. So you need to get to know them. You need to find out what matters to them. So 1.2 or second bullet point is you're going to review existing operations. You're going to analyze existing processes, systems, and workflows. Whatever baseline you can get, because one thing is to do due diligence on a deal and the other one is to actually run it. You're going to compare the systems and procedures and the workflows to what you were going through in due diligence, and you're going to identify any key immediate operational inefficiencies. It's one thing to look from outside, and then once you're within, you're going to be able to spot some things that you didn't notice before, which is okay. You just need to know what you're dealing with and document everything. You're going to assess the financial health. You're going to review financial statements, the P&L, the balance sheet, and the statement of cash flows. You understand where we are. At this point, it's probably been 30 to 60 days since you finished due diligence. You went through the process. You went through escrow. You closed on the business. Now, it's been a couple of months, you haven't really looked at the financials. So now it's time to look at the financials. And if the company had their own bookkeeper or accountant, you need to go to the account and figure out where we are with the reconciliations, the closing of the month. Now, if somebody else was doing the books outside, but you need to figure out who that person is and make sure that you get financials. You need to review the financials. You need to understand the key performance indicators for the business, the current ratios, the working capital calculations, and identify any discrepancies. Now, one thing that may happen, and it happens a lot of the lower middle market deals, the bigger deals, is that there's a working capital calculation. Now, I have conducted many lower middle market deals when there is a working capital component on the deal. So the buyer asked the seller for working capital, and what we did during the acquisition process, we came up with a target working capital and a post-closing working capital calculation retro. So you had $150,000, say, of working capital that you both agreed that within 60 days you're going to be truing it up. So as at the end of 60 days, the buyer, that is you're going to look back at that first 60 days and see how the working capital calculations are. You're going to have your outside accounting team. It's something you don't have to do, but somebody has to do it. So it was agreed that sometimes in a lot of these cases, you're going to have, if the working capital the requirements are more than the 150,000. I'm using that as an example. So they came up with the working capital is $170,000 a month. Well, then the seller owes you $20,000 to make up the gap for each month. If on the flip side, if your working capital requirement is 130,000, but then you got 150,000 as part of the deal, then you owe the seller 20,000. It's a true-up period, more than enough reason for you to look into the financials. You're also going to set immediate priorities. You're going to define the short-term goals for the next 30, 60, and 90 days. Communication is key. You're going to communicate these priorities clearly to the team. This is where you have to over-communicate. You have to set out the tone for openness and transparency and leadership. Now, weeks 2 to 4. So this is what happens. You're going to establish your leadership presence. Introduce yourself formally to the entire team. You're going to share your vision and your goals. You're going to be transparent about your plans and any changes you anticipate. You're going to build trust and rapport, hold regular team meetings, and keep everyone informed and engaged. You're going to create an open door policy to encourage honest communication. You're going to delegate key responsibilities. You're going to identify key players in your team to delegate those critical tasks. Empower managers to take ownership of their departments. Now, what happens is, depending on the type of business you bought, if you actually bought this business and you actually have enough cash flow to have a general manager and you have a more of a part-time role, then you still need to be involved. There is no such thing, particularly in a bigger business, as an absentee owner. It doesn't really work. The first 90 days, you're going to be hands, boots on the ground, running and operating this business to make sure what moves the needle, understanding the business model. And you may have to, and you will have to, delegate responsibilities. So now that puts us into, so this is the end of the first month. Now we move on to the second month, and this is what happens in weeks 5 and 6. You're going to analyze business processes. You're going to conduct a thorough review of operational processes. You're going to identify bottlenecks and areas of improvement. You're going to do a technology and system review. You're going to assess the current technology needs and your technology stack and its effectiveness. You're going to plan upgrades or changes if necessary. You need help in buying a business? Are you stuck and trying to figure out what to do next? Do you have questions? I have answers. All we have to do is connect. So you either drop me a comment below or send me an email. Either way, my information is available to you. But here's what I want you to know is you don't have to do this alone. Buying a business is the most complicated transaction you will ever get into, and you need a team to get this thing done. I'd be happy to give you a complimentary call, figure out where you are in your journey, you answer a few questions, and whether we work together or not, you'll have a roadmap to help you buy a business. So it's my gift to you. Connect with me. So there is nothing worse than coming to an office full of employees and then the server goes down, the IT system goes down, the internet is spotty, you have no enough, and then it brings you to your knees. Technology issues can actually bring you to your knees. Forget about if there's a cyber attack and you don't have enough protection, a cybersecurity attack. So all of those things, anti-infrastructure, you want to take a deeper dive, and you do that in month 2. You're going to develop a standard operating procedures. This is where you really begin to document the process. Now, it was started during the diligence. Now you're going to perfect it at every area of the business. Customer service, sales, marketing, operations, product enhancements, vendor relations, customer relationships, your CRM, all the technology stack. You're going to understand, you're going to develop a standard operating procedures so you don't depend necessarily on people. Somebody walks out of the business because happens, people quit, and there goes the knowledge with them. That's shame on you for letting that happen. So you're going to involve your team members in creating and updating those SOPs. Week 7 and 8, so that puts you halfway through the second month. You're going to start connecting with key customers if you haven't done so already. You're going to schedule meetings with major customers to introduce yourself. You're going to understand their needs and any customers they may have. Now, if you bought a business and there were no customer concentration issues, let's say that there was no customer with a 10% or more concentration, you have less than 10, but then you have a customer that is one is 7% and the other one is 8%, any of those two clients leave, that goes 15% of your business. You got to get in front of those customer relationships. You got to go shake hands and kiss babies. You want to get in front of those customers, get to know them. You need to go ahead and develop those strong bonds with those customers. It behooves you because you want to have loyal customers. And if you're afraid to dealing with your customers, you're going to have a problem in running a business. So you're going to understand, you connect with your customers, you're going to understand their needs and any concerns that they may have. You're going to evaluate customer service. You're going to review customer service processes and feedback. You're going to implement improvements to enhance customer satisfaction. And now this is when you analyze the market position. You've been sitting at the helm for 2 months, and you're going to understand, you need to understand what your competitiveness is in the market. How do you rank? Whatever you find out in due diligence as far as the market segmentation and your defensible position as a business, where do you stand? How do you, are you better than the top 3 competitors in the market? Are you worse off? Why or why not? You do a SWOT analysis. Understand where you are in the market. You need to become the purple cow in your business, in your marketplace. How are you going to do that if you don't know what competition is doing? That's where you have conversations with vendors, with customers, with employees. You need to understand everything that moves the needle on the business. Weeks 9 and 10. We're going to do a deeper dive into the financials. We're going to revisit financial statements. Now you have a couple of months over to financial statements under the helm after you. How do you do? Are you do better than the seller? Are you doing worse off than the seller? Have you been able to implement a lot of the strategies that you said you would when you were doing your 24-month projections? If you got an SBA loans, If you got an SBA loan, I'm sure you had to provide projections. Most of the time it's going to be profit and loss projections, rolling 24 months. Sometimes it's going to be balance sheet and P&L projections. Regardless, they're not just a good idea to do and just put it on a shelf. Those are living, breathing documents. You're going to manage to the various of those projections that you created. You're going to start really understanding how are you doing. What moves the needle? Did you gain a couple of, if the revenue went from 1 to 1.2 million in the first quarter, great. Why did that happen? So you can keep doing that. If the revenue went down, why did that happen? So you can stop doing that and improve. It's all, think of your business as a laboratory. You're gonna try one thing and that thing doesn't work, but take careful notes and then do something else. Execute on the plan that you already created before you bought the business. Cash flow management becomes key. Now, if you have a business that actually produces invoices and you have accounts payable, then you're gonna live between the accounts receivable and accounts payable. Understanding the AR agent receivable summaries and the AP agent receivable summaries. Understanding the makeup of your cash flow. Where is your cash position on Monday versus where is it on Friday? Are you have enough cash flow to produce payroll? Do you have a working capital line of credit? Cash flow can bring you to your knees if you're not on top of it. I've seen multi-million-dollar businesses go out of business because they look good on paper and they're making money on an accrued basis. And on a cash basis, they're losing money because they're not able to collect the AR. So those are the things that go on. So plan for capital improvements. All of this happens at the tail end of your third month. You need to understand the capital improvements to grow the business. Now, if this is truly a service business with no capital improvements, well, good for you. But most businesses are going to have some measure of capital expenditures. Now, it varies greatly whether you have a restaurant which has huge tons of capital improvements you have to do in the back in the kitchen equipment and all that, or if you have a manufacturing facility, you're going to have a upkeep or producing of assets that need to be replenished, that capital investments as well, right? Or if you have a business that produces COGS, right? Cost of goods sold. Well, what is the behavior? Do you have enough inventory to finish the goods? All of those things around capital expenditures, things that are not in the P&L but the balance sheet, really play a role in cash. By now, let me take you to the tail end of your 90 days, weeks 11 and 12. Now you're going to revisit your first initial 90-day goals. How do you do? Or how are you doing? Are you going to hit your goals? Are you not going to hit your goals? Are you going to hit your revenue goals? Are you going to come in budget for your expenses? Are you going to be plus or minus on your net profit? Whatever you said you were going to do, inspect what you expect. Eyes wide open. Assess what has been accomplished and what still needs attention. You're going to adjust your strategies based on the findings that you get from your team. You're going to set longer strategic goals. Now we got into a year, into 2 years. Do we need to make any tweaks to the projections that we made on the rolling cash flow projection, the rolling P&L projections? You're going to share your long-term plans with your team. Remember, to grow, you're going to need your team. You can't grow by yourself. This is the difference between a CEO and an owner-operator. An owner-operator is going to do it all, and a CEO is going to get the consensus and going to inspire people to do what needs to be done. That's how you build long-enduring, good to great companies. Hopefully that helps. For a limited time, I'm giving away my cash flow calculator 2.0, which we call the Deal Analyzer 2.0, which I've helped hundreds of folks actually do first pass before LOI calculations, cash on cash return, debt service coverage ratio, and a bunch of other things. It's more of a rudimentary tool. It's a simpler tool than one we have inside of our group business acquisition program. But it's good enough for you to understand how to actually look at a basic business valuation. So it is my gift to you. You can click on the links below to download it. Also, I'm giving away my business acquisition checklist. It's a 6-page document that you can use to figure out where you are in your journey. All you have to do is print it. It's kind of like a punch list. So it's a great tool if you're looking to buy a business. Also, the link is here. Click on the link and so you can have it as a gift.